Hey, welcome to another episode of the Not Scrum Done podcast. I'm your co-host, Adriana Marshall, and that's my amazing co-host.
Grad Scrum Master Scott, greetings.
Today, we're going to be talking about 5 positive leadership styles. Now, we could probably come up with some negative ones for the next video, but for today, we're going to be focused on positive leadership styles that hopefully you can put into practice at your workplace. All right, Scott, you want to kick us off with the first one?
I'm thinking about transformational leadership. I'll start off with the definition, then bridge why it fits in the agile, and I give an example if that format's okay. The definition of transformational leadership, this is a leader that inspires and motivates a team with a shared vision. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking of a Steve Jobs type of person. I'm thinking about an Elon Musk modern day. Why it fits Agile? Well, Agile thrives on embracing change and delivering value. This is the purpose of why we own the Scrum team. This is the purpose that we're working for the organization. Transformative leaders inspire teams to align with the product vision and adapt based upon what is coming at us so that we can get to our end goal. And the best example I have in terms of me putting on my transformational leadership hat was during the pandemic. The pandemic forced my team to be more Scrum and more Agile. Well, Scott, how did that happen? The Scrum Guide says we have one word developers, right? You ever had a team where you have developers? Those are normally people associated with writing the code if we're in IT. And then you have testers. Yeah, that's not good, right? No, it's not good. We should be cross functional, right? So all the testers was offshore. We had the pandemic and they wasn't set up to work remote. So now we're here in the United States trying to figure out who's going to do the testing. Well, I asked the developer, putting on my transformational leadership hat on, developers. Oh, can't you test? Didn't you go to school and learn full stack, which is, front end, back end, and testing? Oh yeah, I haven't done that in a while. But can you test? Yeah. They all pitched in and they started testing. We got the testing done because guess what? We still had to deliver, even though the pandemic is here. Even though our testers are in India and they don't have access to their computers, we still have to deliver. And we was able to come together and figure that out. That was probably the best moment in terms of me using my transformational leadership hat, Adriana.
Yeah, great story. So for the second one, I picked servant leadership. This is where leaders focus on serving their teams, ensuring they have support, tools, and environment needed to succeed. So I think we kind of know why this fits in Agile. It used to be in the Scrum Guide as a servant leader. Now it says true leader. If you read that before, you already understand where this is coming from. So we know that Agile really focuses on empowering people and self organization, and servant leaders remove obstacles and focus on the team's need to enhance productivity and even in some cases morale. So, one of the first things that really comes to my mind, which I kind of already mentioned, is removing impediments for this one. We're not questioning if the team did the right thing or wrong thing. We have low tolerance for impediments. We step in to immediately help them. That's my initial thing when I think about servant leadership. There's obviously some other things that we do. We're encouraging our teams to be self-managing, to continuously improve, and we're advocates for them and we help them develop. And I think also being a servant leader requires you to truly lead by example. All right, Scott, what about you for the next one?
I think I'm gonna go with the facilitative leadership. This is the type of leader that guides discussions and decision-making processes without dictating a solution. Yeah. We do that all the time as Scrum Masters, right? Exactly. Now, why does this fit Agile? Well, Agile requires us to have collective ownership. Product owner owns the product backlog, the Scrum Master owns the adoption of Scrum, and the developers own the how to get the thing done. So we have all these different owners on the Scrum team, but we want to have collective decision making so that we can decide that we're going to move forward in the same direction. Facilitative leaders, we ensure that every voice is heard. Oh, yes, we want to make sure everybody's involved in the conversation on the Scrum team. And an example of that would be as a coach, as a Scrum Master, we facilitating the different events in Scrum. We have sprint planning that we facilitate, daily Scrum, the sprint review, and also the sprint retrospective, just to give you a few examples of the things that we could be facilitating. Next one, Andrea.
The next one, the fourth one, democratic leadership. This type of style encourages team input and fosters shared decision making. This fits into Agile because, well, we value the wisdom of the team. This type of leadership empowers individuals to take ownership, be self managing, fostering accountability and innovation. The collective wisdom is really appreciated in this instance. And I think this type of leadership is important. There are times where, as a leader, you need to step in and you need to make a decision. But we truly believe that if the team is making the decision, they'll also be empowered to own that throughout the process. So if they decide, hey, I want to make a new decision tomorrow, they don't feel like they're stuck in this decision that a leader just made on their behalf. They can change it. I've been in situations where the organization or someone in the organization will say something like, well, everybody's sprints need to be 2 weeks. So now teams that are struggling to finish in 2 weeks, they don't feel empowered based on their product and what they're working on to change it to 3 weeks, which may be more appropriate for them. Or I've worked on some teams where they had 1 week sprints because it worked for them. And some of the ways as a scrum master that we help this is one, I think team driven sizing is a big thing. For some reason, some people want just the leaders in the org to make the decision on how long something takes. So I think that's one of them. Fostering different ownership of sprint retrospectives, collaborating on things like the definition of done, refining product backlog, even like I said, choosing their own agile practices. And I think the most important part is them facilitating their own disagreements and coming up with their own resolutions. I think that's really going to help when you have a democratic leadership style, and it's going to help the team get a lot better. All right, Scott, for the final one.
We have adaptive leadership. Wow. I love this one. I think this one kind of like take bits and pieces of all the ones we've talked about up until this point. But this leader is going to adjust their leadership style based upon the context, based upon the team needs, based upon challenges, and fostering resilience and flexibility on the team. Now, why is this important to Agile? Well, Agile environments, as we know, are dynamic, requiring leaders who can pivot quickly and guide the team through uncertainty. I'm thinking about the product owner who is looking at the market conditions and see things are changing and see an opportunity for us to do something wild on the Scrum team. Let's say the product owner decides to pivot during the sprint and responds to changing market conditions, just so that we can capitalize on some opportunity that may be changing. Well, Scott, can you give me an example? Well, I'm thinking about if I was a stockbroker before we knew who was going to be president. As a stockbroker, I'm trying to make my clients money. So I'm thinking a stockbroker could be the product owner. So before we found out who the president was, I had one strategy I was going to use, but now I know who the president is. I'm going to pivot and make sure everything aligns with what the market says they want. So just an idea, just a thought there.
All right. So we've covered the five positive leadership styles. In our opinion, transformational leadership, servant leadership, facilitative leadership, democratic leadership, and adaptive leadership. I think the key here is really understanding that in Agile, leadership is less about authority and more about empowering the teams to achieve their best. Servant and transformational leadership styles are the most talked about when we're talking about being an effective leader in Agile, but a really good leader is always going to adapt based on the team dynamics and situational needs. All right. If you want more information, you want to reach out to us, check in the description. We have our LinkedIn's in there. We also have our websites. We have our livescrum.org classes, and you can also join our email list. And as always, if you made it to the end of this video, that means you have an attention span greater than a goldfish.
Be legendary, everyone, but not scrum down. See you the next episode.